I'm going to be going live. Should be the cover screen. You should be able to see it. Once it's live, we'll let people know what's up. Hey, Kaelin, let's test it out. Can you say something? Say something so that the people can hear you.
What'd you say?
What? I said we're just testing out the audio right now. We're seeing if people can hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, I can hear Kaelin good.
Yeah, you can hear Kaelin good. You can hear me good. You can hear John good. You can hear everyone good.
Beatbox session.
I can hear your noises good.
All right.
Oh,
I see what's going on here.
The state of Sunday.
Solid state. Hello, everybody.
So solid, bro.
It's so solid.
So solid.
All right.
So solid.
So we're still setting up here, but we should be going live, officially live, in a minute or so. But as I'm getting kind of set up on my end, I'm basically just making sure my screen is all ready and my producer app is all dope. And that you can see Kaelin in his glory.
So solid.
So solid. I think me minimizing that. No, minimizing is no good. Yeah.
You know, dude, this cover photo could really work as like a Levi ad.
Yeah.
Like a really good Levi ad.
So, anyways, hello everybody. Like I said, we're going to be getting started. Basically, this live stream, I'm going to be working on pages 4 and 5, and we're going to be putting the final touches to the rest of the book. Dialogue and all that kind of stuff is going to probably happen a little off camera, but we were pretty busy this week trying to get a lot of stuff structured. But the following week, we're going to probably have more streams. But the streams are free, so it's all good. Because we've been trying to we're trying to set up like our video recordings, which is where Kaelin and I go into more depth specifically on this episode. So each chapter has 4 episodes. That's why it's a month-long thing. Every week is an episode, and episodes are about 5 to 7 pages. And what I'm going to be doing is basically just painting and on one of the pages of this week's episode. And it's going to be free. And why it's free? Because it's really just kind of promoting our stuff and really give us an opportunity to talk to you guys. Because, you know, one thing that I've built, my personal brand, Robot Pencil, has been based off of a lot of free content and a lot of free things for people. And people enjoy that, and I still want to do that. And I trust the fact that a lot of people will support the book on the sheer fact of, you know, what it's about and what it's doing, and they still get a product and they still get to learn. And it's really for content creators who are interested on more in-depth stuff that, you know, requires us to really put a little more time and effort to make it good and awesome and nice for you guys. But this type of stuff, just watching us paint or watching us beat out the story, that stuff should be free. I think that type of stuff is fun and it's interesting, and it doesn't necessarily give you a ton of content. It just gives you just enough to, if you can't afford, you know, $20 or whatever, it's fine. We don't want you to go out of pocket on this type of stuff. It's fine. But anyways, with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna have Kaelin. You're gonna be able to see Kaelin and I through the webcam, but more importantly, you're gonna be seeing my Photoshop file. So let's see what's up. So transition, and so you can see over here, John is behind me, and right above me is Kaelin and his little webcam. And yeah, Kaelin is the writer, I am the artist, John is our producer. And so John is in the Ustream right now. He's making sure that the Ustream is working okay, and he's reading the chat vividly. So he's going to read your guys' questions as they come, and either Kaelin and I will answer the questions. I can paint and answer a question, so I can kind of double time this stuff, or 2 for 1, this type of stuff. I can work and answer questions.
Team it. We can double team it.
Double team it, yes. and then Kaelin is going to be the one that's you know.
I'm gonna be.
He's gonna be the one helping me answer questions.
As many of AJ's answers as I possibly can, and just generally derailing the entire conversation.
Oh Jesus! And so let me kind of give you guys. Let me just do, before we get into this. So you guys, we don't have the digital version of this panel. It's actually a traditional one. So this is the panel I'm going to be working on along with this page. So these 2 pages are the ones I'm going to try to get done in this next hour or so, or at least get started, and then I'm going to be finishing them out today, and so we can ship them out sometime Friday, and then we are good. And then I'm going to have them off to the side, so if you see me like going to the side, that's why. So, alright, with that being said, let's get this party started, yeah? So, I am just going to show you the panels that I have, and the reason why I have these ones up, they're kind of like a quality check for me, quality control. They're going to help me maintain my my ability to see where I'm going and where I've been, and try to keep that quality throughout the images. And so that way it doesn't look like several different artists paint on it. Because there's a problem that I run into that I had an original version of what these were going to be, and I kind of didn't like it at all. And I found out what it was because like the colors there's just too much colors. I was like, I'm gonna render the crap out of this. And not only does that take a lot of time to do, and something that I was actually willing to do, and I thought it would be fine. But when I saw it, I was like, holy crap, it's kind of like hard to tell what the story is. Like, it's hard to tell what you're supposed to be looking at. And so I decided to go a little more monochromatic, black and white with like accented colors, and using the accented colors, not just like it's a red cloth that you would see like probably in like 300 or the Sin City stuff, but it's actually like anything that's effects based, like lights, the electricity of Ray Ray's like threads of his mohawk, like all that kind of stuff. I want that to be the kicker, and what that does, it allows me to push the comic book a little bit further, and it makes it really clear. Like, as you can tell from even the thumbnails, you should be able to tell like what's going on like immediately. And I'll give you guys kind of like a flavor of quality, like since you guys have the HD version, so you can see kind of where like how crazy I get with the textures and the brushes and all that kind of good stuff. And right now, like, this is a story thing that we've talked about, like how we do emotions with the robots is using emoticons whenever we have an opportunity. Go super anime style with it, but using like, you know, text-based emoticons. Since these guys are all robots, we thought that would be fun and interesting, you know, and add some flavor to it too. So like right here, Ray Ray's happy, and you can tell because it's a happy emoticon. And so, there you go. So I'm gonna get started, and you guys will be able to watch me. So as you guys are going, you guys are welcome to answer any or ask any questions.
Yeah, the first question says, who's writing the comic?
Kaelin can answer that because he's the writer.
Yeah, I'm writing the comic.
Okay, good.
That's all.
Answered. Question answered. Yeah. Just to give you guys a quick background, Kaelin and I have been, you know, friends since we were children, since we're like, you know, 10 years old. So we've known each other for almost 20 years. And, holy shoot, keep messing this stuff up. And so Kaelin took the pursuit of like, you're like, you can tell the story of like your education, like the linguistic stuff. And then I'll just start painting.
Yeah. Writing words.
Well,
I just went that route because I always wanted to be like an actor or something. And my mom. Nope.
Kaelin, you're cutting it
go
out.
to school.
Wait, start over, Kaelin?
Huh?
So you start over, you just cut out.
Oh, okay, yeah. I wanted to be an actor, and then my mom was just like, no, you gotta go to school instead. I was like, all right, I guess I'll just go to school. I figured out they had something called linguistics there, and so I just studied linguistics, and it was awesome. And I got to learn a ton about words and all that kind of stuff, and so I just started writing. That's basically it.
There you go.
But yeah, graduated top of my class.
Oh,
but there was
Wordsmith.
There was only like
2004.
4 of us class though, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah, so like when it came to writing, like it was pretty simple for me. I just chose Kaelin. I was like, you write it, And I mean, we came up with the idea together. Like, I had like a seed of an idea. It's like, what if there was a world just of robots? I like to draw robots. I can draw robots, a lot of them, really fast. And that's something that you need to have ability to do when you're making a comic, is the ability to draw quickly. And so I was like, I can draw robots. And it's kind of like if you look at Pixar's history, like when they made Toy Story, they like, we can render plastic really well. You know, like what kind of story can we tell with our abilities right now? You know, and that's a pretty big deal to kind of to talk about, because a lot of people try to get a little ambitious, and I am a victim of this too, because I have projects that are still pending because of my ambitions, and I've learned from that. And so it's something that I try to, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna do another project, I have to do something that I can manage along with other things that are going on. And because we had one story, Aragoth, right? Kaelin, like, which was like gonna be crazy epic. It's gonna be ridiculously fun and just so much stuff. But I knew, I was like, I want us to do this full time if we're gonna do that. Like, I mean like full time. Like, that's all I'm doing, and we're getting paid to do it, because that's the only way we would be able to do that. Because we got kids and stuff. So when I told Kaelin, I was like, let's do a robot story. And then he came up with a bunch of different stories, and then we chose one that we thought was really cool. And then from that, we chose several that we thought were really cool. And then from those, we chose kind of a few, and then now we're kind of where we're at now, right? Like, we had like a lot of versions of this story. And then pretty much I was like, all right, Kaelin, just write it. Just like write what you think is cool. He'll come to me in the beginning or the end of the week, whenever he has one, and he'll pitch it to me and John. We'll listen to it, and we'll be like, that's dope. And then we'll move forward. Or that's not dope, or whatever. Most of them have been pretty dope. There have been minor changes. We keep it pretty ambiguous, because when it comes the day of where we panel it out, we get a little more specific. So that way, and then those changes happen, and then we start to see the images. But we try to stay loose, right? Because it makes it easier for us, and we don't feel so much pressure, and at the same time we're having fun. And it's been working out. And we've had a lot of practice with writing treatments and stuff like that, to kind of be able to work together as writers, as a team of writers. But yes,
cool.
That's why Kayla's a writer.
So Kaelin writes the comic.
So Kaelin writes the comic.
All right, next question. So if someone could explain to me, I bought the Solid State comic pilot, and are we gonna get sent chapter 2 tomorrow, or do we have to pay again, or what's happening?
Okay, I can answer that real fast. No, you get everything. You get chapter. Oh, so I see what you're saying. Chapter 2. No, chapter 2 is going to be separate, $20. Chapter 2 is going to be the second installment of this book. So essentially, if you want to follow along, and I don't think we're going to go. I'm going on a limb here, but I'm thinking we're probably going to have at least 3 chapters. At least. We'll see. Right? It might be more. But I don't want anyone to pay more than like $100 for all the stuff. But like I said, you're not just getting the comic book, but you're also getting the making of. And if you have no interest in the making of after this, like if you don't care about the working files, like we have alternative solutions that we're going to do, which is just selling the comic independently of the making of. But we want to make sure we start having content before we start doing that kind of stuff, because we can't sell this first comic because we're not done with the first chapter.
That was the original plan after all, was to just make a comic and give it to people.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know, sell it for some really, really cheap price, and just release it digitally so that we can have our own project. But the cooler idea is, since a lot of people that know AJ, a lot of people that follow AJ are also art students, we thought they might actually be more interested in the process of learning how to make. When you support the comic, what it means is that you're being a part of the creation process. Make it, and then you get all the work files and kind of stuff, for a whole month. So everything we do this month, which will be 4 weeks worth of that stuff, having just paid for it once, you're going to get all that stuff for a month. And then next month, we're going to start the whole process over again. The month after that, we start it all over again. Again, everything's done, then we'll just sell the comic all by itself. But supporter, you get all files and all that kind of.
Yeah, so it's almost like paying. If you imagine it another way, it's like almost like paying for entertainment as well. Like we'll be, anyone who supports the comic and all that stuff, they'll get the behind the scenes. Like we're gonna do like an interview style, and then also you'll get video tutorials on how we did the stuff. And if you follow my Gumroad videos, like I would do like a Gumroad video for about an hour's worth of content, 30 to 40 minutes of content, and it's like $3 to $5 bucks. So if you think about it in theory, every week you're getting about an hour to 2 hours worth of content of educational things that are really retaining to the process that I'm specifically explaining to what I did and how I did it and what you should do, like the work files and all that stuff. So when you get all the work files, it makes sense to you. You're paying $5 a week for a tutorial, right? So you're getting $20 worth of tutorial. That's why we marked it at about $20, and we're going to increase the price every $2.50 every time we have that 1 week of content done. So that way people can feel rewarded for signing up earlier, but at the same time, people can still join the party late. And because I didn't want it to be like, okay, it's $20 and it stays at $20, and then people are like, wait, this guy bought it later and he got all this stuff too. Like I want to do that next time, and I want to reward those who are early sponsors, and not necessarily punish those who aren't. Just know they should understand why we charge them.
100%.
Yeah, charge them.
It's like Jason. What up, Jason? How's it going, Jason?
So depending on how successful the comic is, would you guys be looking to push it into the film arena?
Yeah, that's always an option.
You got $1 million? You want to give us $1 million?
Yeah, we have a strategy to actually potentially make it ourselves too. We want to kind of be content creators. We're kind of sick of just trying to get our stuff made from other people. We kind of want to make it ourselves. So we want to build a comic. We want to build the story. We want to build a fan base. We want to build a world, and then we want to start to pushing. Oh boy, I need to close some of these files. Actually, I have a better idea. I'm gonna screen cap this, print screen. What? Oh, Snagit. Snagit's great software, but I didn't realize that it took over my print screen hotkey. Boy, get out of here. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna close these so I can have some. All right, there you go. Wait, what was I saying? I was talking about
Snagit.
Turning it into a film.
Oh yeah, that's right. We want to make our own content, and so our plans are actually to learn some 3D packages and 3D software and 3D rendering softwares, and then actually make it ourselves, and have content that we can put out there, and then that there could be a making of that as well. But we haven't planned for that. We were kind of just going to just do it, and then use this as an opportunity to get us started and fund this idea. And one thing that we want to be able to do is once we have that 3D film, because we're going to probably make it short, then go to Hollywood or whoever. Probably not Hollywood. They have like this weird kind of hurry up and wait type model, which is not cool. Like they're like, we need it right now, yesterday, and then you give it to them and they're, all right, just wait. You're like, what? What was such a hurry?
He needed it to put on his desk so that we're not blamed for not putting it on his desk.
And I don't blame anyone for that. It's probably just the system that they got in place. It's just the old archaic system. But my point is that Kaelin and I as a team, we've been really good about producing content and doing stuff that nobody's seen before. We have a lot of stuff for the Carbon line that nobody has seen. And we did a lot of stuff for it, and anyone who's seen it has really enjoyed what we did, and they thought it was fantastic amounts of content. And I just want to make my own stuff, but at the same time I want to feel like it's going somewhere, and that's one of those things that we're going to probably end up doing on our own, the back end. So yeah, we have plans, but the plans might be a little bit indie, if I had to pick a word.
Yeah, takes a while.
Yeah. Stay a while or miss it.
Not that we don't have any contacts or anything, but it's just, you know, even if you know Steven Spielberg and you're his best friend, that doesn't mean he wants to make your movie. You know what I mean?
And Steven Spielberg is our best friend, by the way.
No matter what, the best way to go about it is to try to make it yourself.
Did you ever post on Facebook that you're streaming?
Nah, but I posted that I was going to stream.
Okay.
We were on a lunch hour too, so I kind of figured this was being
Yeah.
the case. So it's all
This
good.
is true. Didn't even think about that.
It's okay, man. It is okay. Any other questions?
Mm-mm.
No? All right.
So far, no.
So what I'm doing is I'm paneling the shot of Ray jumping off the ledge, and he is diving towards a pool. And the way that I'm doing this is I'm blocking him out in a way that's easy for me to draw. So he's falling down, but it looks like he's flying up, right? That's because of the way I drew it. Now, if you watch me flip the canvas to the appropriate perspective, that's what it looks like. It's just easier to do it that way.
All right. There's a question. It says, from what I've seen, building a world from the ground up, Lucas, Cameron, like the different people that have built those worlds, like J.R. Tolkien, Lucasfilms. It is super difficult. Where do you recommend starting?
Oh man, you could start at a bunch of different places, but the most important thing is to just start. You could get anything started, and then just kind of build off of that. It depends on whatever. If you have a cool idea for what types of like races there's going to be in the world, then you could start there, and then you'll start inventing stories based off of the relationships between those people. Or I think what Tolkien did was he was a linguist. He started making up his own languages, and so I always thought that was a cool way to go about it because I study linguistics.
Oh, Kaylin's died.
Language?
Wait, Kaelin?
Wait. Hello?
Kaylin's internet is not the best.
Lost you for a second.
All right, go ahead,
that's
Kaelin.
okay. I was just saying, Tolkien's like his way of going about it was he would invent a language, and then he would create like a whole history for the language about how the language changed over time, and the reason why it changed was because this war happened or that war happened or this plant started to grow or something like that, and then he built his whole world starting off of that. Did with Aragoth from the very beginning is we decided what types of people were going to be in the world, and I remember a long ago, Dan Garcia had the idea of like there would be so many planets in the sky, like so many moons, and like that they would line up like an abacus in the sky, and we were just like, oh, that's the coolest idea ever. I think, I don't know, we may throw that idea away now, but that's just one thing where you're just like, oh man, that's a cool idea, let's build off of that. And then it's like, oh yeah, what if each one of those moons had like its own like god that was in control of it or something, and then like, oh cool, what about cool ideas for gods? Like what if there was a god that like, like they started off really powerful, but they used up all their powers, and so eventually they just became this really old person that was them, they would come back as an all-powerful god again, but they couldn't kill themselves or something. Like you just have to come up with ideas and get the ball rolling. It doesn't matter where you start, it matters where you end.
Oh, deep.
Wow.
Deep throat. Yeah. To add to what Kayla's saying, I agree. Just getting started is really hard to do, and you're ahead of the curve if you can just get started. Like a lot of people just don't start. They have an idea and they have ambition, but then they don't follow through, and that's something that everybody suffers from, and it's hard to do. It really is. It's something that not everybody can kind of really get going, but it's such a beautiful thing once you do. If you get that thing going, like it's so much fun, and then you start making stuff. As for world building, I would say to you, like, whatever your goal is, think about what your goal is. Like, if you're trying to tell like a really enriched story with a lot of characters and over a span of like a few years or something crazy, then yeah, you got to think about, okay, what's the best solution for that. Just once you get your idea, once you get started, you need to start buckling down and kind of figuring out what you want to do. Because like you might realize, I might need a better platform to tell this story, or I need to think about, what is important to me. Because if you think about like what like Tolkien did, like his like world, like he could tell hundreds of stories in that one world, right? And they do. Like Peter Jackson's is already on his sixth version or sixth story that he's telling, over like a. Literally, if you had a day, you would still not have enough time to watch all the content he has created for the Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth, all that kind of crazy stuff that Tolkien set up. But for me and Kaelin, like we realize that world building is fun and it's really easy to get caught up in that. But we want to be storytellers, and telling the story doesn't involve world building. It involves telling a story. It involves a story, and we get caught up, like we do a thing where we will build a world, like, okay, world of robots, and then it's okay, what's a cool story that can be told in that kind of world, and that's it. And then we go from there, and then we would have this thing, like John would bring up a lot of questions about like the mechanics of the world and all this crazy stuff, and then we would always say, okay, we're not trying to explore a world necessarily, we're trying to tell a fun, exciting story. So if we're going to bring up any information, it needs to be valuable information that retains to the story, not to the world. Because if you think about a movie like Star Wars, right? They don't ever really explain how a lightsaber works. They just pull out a sword that's basically a laser sword, and they're just like, "This is a lightsaber," and then they just move on. They don't explain why like Darth Vader can just choke out people, other than saying it's something called the Force. But they don't go into it. Right, and then if you think about the prequels, when they actually explain like the midichlorian count and all this, like the science of the Force, it's boring. Nobody cares about the science of this cool magic power, right? Unless it's cool science, unless there's something cool about the way they explain it. And they didn't explain it cool. That's my point. And it is irrelevant, right? No one ever questions why Chewbacca was a giant dog man. He just happened to be a giant dog man, and it was cool. Like people just is all like, it's an alien world, alien universe, dope. And we get caught up as because we're once we get going, and we start thinking about all the stuff that could be cool. It's like, what about this? What about that? And then I try to reason with everybody too. Like we need to slow down and we need to think about what matters. Like what matters? Because if we go into too much exposition explaining why everything works and how it works, it's going to be boring. It's going to be an encyclopedia of a world, and I don't think that's what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to tell a funny story.
I think the only people who know how to do that right is Star Trek. They're the only people who are able to tell a story that's like super complicated and really explain like how a warp drive works, and like they're very like, I think you have to know your audience.
Yeah, that's true.
And like Star Wars, I love Star Wars. I think I like it more than Star Trek, but honestly, it's a dumber version of Star Trek. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Star Trek is all about like, you would never hear in the Star Wars movie, oh my God, we've got 12% shields left. What are we gonna do? Initiate the thrusters because they're at 25%. We can only take another 2/3 of the you'd never hear that, but that's like really typical in every Star Trek. Like battle, like is very calculating like that, and like, but they do it in such a way that's really exciting, where the people watching are like, oh no, 25%. What are they gonna do? But in Star Wars, it's more magic. It's more like don't try to understand technology behind it. Just kind of go with it, and I like that model. And honestly, I don't think I'm smart enough to write it any other way. Like I wouldn't be able to write a Star Trek script. But Star Wars, I could probably take a shot at.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's such a simple idea, but it's hard to divorce your brain from that. Like, we know that, but then yet when we try to tell a story, Kaylin's video call.
We lost Kaelin.
Yeah, I need to call him back. But as I'm trying to get him back online, let me give me a second, guys. We got Kaelin?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think, though, the window's not attached to your thing. Let me see if I can attach it. Nope. But as I try to fix this shot real quick, yeah, it should be working. It's targeted on your thing. It's weird. Alright. You guys won't be able to see Kaelin for a second, but my point I was trying to make is that it's hard to write less for world building, because that for whatever reason is easier. It's just like, it's easier to just be creative on things. It's harder to just kind of buckle down and to ignore some things and pay attention to others. And the thing about Star Trek that I realized too is, like, Star Trek, their story is different too. Their story is more like a mystery, like CSI type thing with science fiction. Like, the movies that came out that J.J. Abrams did, I think, are a better Star Wars movie, right? Those are Star Wars movies. And because, like, I remember John too, like, you were like, I'm gonna watch Star Trek, and I was like, be prepared, because Star Trek is like, every episode's kind of like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, really.
Like, it's like something has happened and they're trying to solve a mystery, right? It's not like this crazy, like, shoot lasers and jump over things. It's like there's a crazy amoeba looking thing in this space, like, what is it? And then we're trying, every time we shoot at it, it gets bigger, and it's like about, like, stuff like that. And then you're just like, what is the mystery? And then at the end you're like, oh, it's actually this. And then you're like, mind blown.
Yeah.
Where the Star Trek movies are like shoot, run, shoot, run, shoot, run, fun, right? And with a a theme and everything that you learn, like, it's underdog stories.
More attractive to the eyes.
Yeah, just like like crazy cinematic, and this is fun, which is great. But, like, if you really buckle down, it's like they basically made Star Trek Star Wars, and that's probably why J.J. Abrams got the gig to work on the next Star Wars movies, because they recognize that.
Yeah.
Hey, what if we did that with Star Wars? Like, actually make them like they were, and that's kind of like my thing about that. So, anyways, is there any other questions? I'm gonna try to solve this problem too.
Negative.
All right. All right. Let's see. Show source. All right, Joe. Yeah. So right now I'm just solving Kaylin's thing. Oh, there you go. This should not fix anything. What the? I probably should have used Skype. It's alright. Kaelin, you're just going to be a white shape for now. It's alright. No, people can still hear you, though, right?
I think that's a little racist.
Yeah. You are white.
I'm like 1/32 Asian American, so you can't call me white. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I think that's a little racist.
Alright. Right now what I'm doing is just trying to block in the frames. I know what I'm going to do. You guys might be like, what's going on here? Like, don't worry about it. Because I need to simplify the shapes and stuff like that and get, like, some basic stuff going on before I get a little full throttle. So before the hour is done, I should have some crazy stuff for you guys to look at. I should be able to at least finish a panel in an hour. Or at least, get these things blocked in. Oh, this is going to be explosion? Okay, well, this one I might not have anything other than debris, I guess. But, any other questions? Otherwise, I'll have Kaelin talk about story structure. So Kaelin, talk about, like, how we use, like, the 7-beat, 8-beat thing to the 15-beat thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing.
something that's been really useful for us for like this last year. Like, because me and AJ have been developing stories for like, God, I think we put the idea for Paragon. Like, literally, I was thinking about it the other day. 11 years ago, we had the idea for Paragon. And I think that was like one of the. We've been making movies, like little home movies and stuff to use this for kids, but you know, we never really tried to start writing like stories until like probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it was really like touch and go. We never really got too far with it. You know, it was just kind of like we'd make a little bit of progress and then we'd stop altogether or something like that. But once we figured out, like, we really started to think like, okay, well, how do we tell a story? Let's figure that out first instead of just going like diving straight in and just trying to go like straight ahead storytelling. Let's like figure out like how do you actually do this, and then that's when things started to really take off. And like
it's really hard to hear Kaelin in the stream.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like I said, too much bass. But yeah,
I think it might be because talk, Kaelin.
No.
I think it's because you're getting picked up on my mic instead of actually having audio. So let me fix that out. Yeah, it should be fine.
But anyway, if you can understand what I'm saying, yeah, we came up with this method for creating a story like really quickly, based on starting with a log line. So we start with like the big idea. So it'll be something like, in a world full of robots, they're fighting over the city to take control of it. Which game will take control? I don't know. That's a really crappy logline. But basically, a logline is going to have like your first, it's going to have an introduction to your world, and then the first like major event that's like the conflict. So you've got like 2 beats right there already. So basically, you've got your introduction and you've got your second act break, the transition between your first and second act are right there in your log line already. And then what we do is me and AJ use like a modified version of that Pixar. I don't think it started at Pixar, but like it was part of that really popular post that was like Pixar's 22 rules of storytelling or whatever. It was basically
sorry, Kaelin, real quick. Let's just solve this because it's really bad sound. It sounds like you're like feet away.
Yeah, because you are literally a feet away. Because I'm trying to fix this on my end as well. Let me see. I think it's because the audio is supposed to be picking up from my screen, but let me figure this out. Source.
Oh, is it like going out through your speakers?
Yeah. Well, I think originally it wasn't, but then when it disconnected, it now is like it's broken, right? Because originally I made it so it wasn't doing that, but now I think it's doing just that. What you're saying. So let me see. Let me double check what's going on here. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, see, it should still be capturing my audio from my computer, which is you, right?
It's me.
Like, say something. Talk.
Alright.
Yeah. See, there's nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see the audio levels right now.
Storytelling.
So here, I'm gonna call you back.
Okay, call me back.
And let's test the audio with some Spotify, yeah? Let's see if you guys can hear the music. Can you hear music, John?
Not yet.
Yes, he's not even picking that up. So whatever happened. Oh, there you go. Looks like it's picking up the music. Off. Let me open up a new Gmail. Ba-da-ba da 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 da. Ma-da-ba-ba-da-ba-bee. Okay. We should be hearing.
What song was that, AJ?
People like the song.
Some Korean song?
Oh no. Talk, Kaelin?
Yo.
Yeah, see, it's not picking up Kaelin. So weird.
Hey, can you hear me now?
No, but I have a solution, alternative solution now. Let's do this.
Hey, what's up, guys?
No, it's still not doing it. But I'm going to make a new desktop presenter. New local desktop presenter. There you go. And then I'm going to pick my monitor. Oh, actually, I'm going to pick window. I'm going to pick you. I think maybe we should go through Skype next time.
Yeah, I might. Whoa.
Alright, save settings. And then I go to this one. And then go to edit shot. And then go here. And then there should be the third or the fourth presentation. There you go. That should be it. Okay, go ahead and start talking, Kayla. Should work now.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, it's still not working.
Crazy technology.
Right.
Like just a second ago.
So we're gonna do one more thing, Kayla. So I'm gonna hang up on you and call you on Skype. Are you on Skype?
Yeah, let me log in.
All right. So while we wait for Kaelin, I'm just going to answer any questions, if there is any.
There is none.
None. Other than, why is your guys'
Other than what song was that?
Oh, what song was that? I don't know. Let me check for you right now. Sorry. That was. Oh, that was a Asian music. It was baby metal.
Oh yeah, they did call it. They were like baby metal.
Yeah, that's baby metal.
It's Korean.
No, they're not Korean.
No?
Man, you're racist, man.
I don't know.
Oh, man. He is a racist. John is a racist, guys. We just found out right now. Alright, let me do a call. Da-da-da-da. Oh my gosh. Change audio. Oh, you know what? I think I might have. Caleb? Oh no, it's not working again. I can hear you. I'm gonna call you on Google again. I think I know what the problem was. Wait, actually, never mind. Don't say nothing.
Who was the fifth member of the Power Rangers?
Go, go, Power Rangers. Dun, 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 dun. Go, go, Power Rangers. Mighty Morphin.
Alright, that's a question. Have you or Kaelin read the book, I guess? Ready Player One? It's called Ready Player One.
I'm not entirely sure. No, I don't think I have, but we'll see if Kaelin has. Yeah, I'm still trying to get this audio fixed. Skype. Hello? Talk? Yeah, it says it's picking up your audio, but it doesn't look like it is, which is sucky. Oh yeah, it's totally not picking up your audio. Yeah, this is weird. Oh wait, hold on, maybe I know what's going on. Now talk? Nope. Nope. Sorry, man. We're gonna have to do it ghetto. Sorry, guys. We'll figure this out. This is the first time we did it where Kaylin's not in the same room as us, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. There's situations. I'm gonna hang up on you, Kaelin. I'm gonna go through Google. We'll just make the stream a little longer since of these technical difficulties. I'll trim this out in the recording too. So for those of you guys who want to watch this later, I can trim it through Ustream. So that way it'll be like, this is talking, then cut, and then we'll go back to this. Like, wait, what happened here? What happened?
Well, there's a question for you, AJ.
Yeah, of course.
What was it like working on X-Men?
Dude, it was fun. That's probably out of all the jobs that I've done for film, wait, we got Kaelin back. You back, Kaelin?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Well, it's going to probably be through the audio mic thingy, so yeah. I wonder if I can you do me a solid? I'm looking back at the speaker. See if there's like a bass and treble thing. You know what I'm talking about? And turn on the bass. Oh, what the? Yeah, when I worked on that movie, it was a lot of fun. It was oh, sorry, Jen. You're gonna have to look right here. There's no on the back of the speaker.
What's this kid talking about?
What's this kid talking about? So when I was working on the movie, it was a lot of fun because it was costume design and everybody was really cool and really nice and all that great stuff.
You might turn down the bass to the computer, no?
Yeah, I can. But I'm just gonna do that some other time. I've already wasted enough time. They're just gonna have to deal with the weirdness. Right. I thought I sorted it out and I thought I could figure it out, but I was wrong. When I worked on it, because we were doing X-Men, they wanted me to like draw the Juggernaut and the Iceman and all this cool stuff. So it was a lot of fun, and then the costume designer was really fun to work with, and she was super nice and she was super sweet, and I was just really excited about being on top of the project. But other films that I worked on, it was just a nightmare. People were just not nice, and things were just not cool, and people did not have a good sense of vision. And when I mean people, I mean just like the corporations, people that like the executives who were speaking for the people who own money, which sucks. Is the stream doing alright still?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, because my producer thing is like all weird.
Kaelin, have you ever read the book Ready Player One?
No, but I want to. A buddy of mine recommended that to us, Curtis Clark, who is a comic writer, very good comic writer. He recommended Ready Player One. Or wait, did he? He's still a good comic writer, but I don't know if he's the one who told me about it. Definitely a guy named Paul Berry recommended Ready Player One. I think I've had a lot of people actually recommend.
And now people are doing it again. I guess we gotta read it, Ken.
I guess I gotta read it, but read.
Read is OP. This comic's not gonna have any dialogue. It's just gonna be images, and then it's gonna be fill in your own dialogue. Everyone just look at the images and be like, all right now I think he's saying whoopity doo dah, whoopity dee.
Oh, that would be a challenge. There's a question from your friend Kaelin. Jason Hall asked.
Huh?
Jason Hall asked, you guys have any plans for tackling big detailed environments and stuff? Such as big establishing shots and things that can sometimes take all day since it's a fast schedule?
Dude, that's an AJ question.
Yeah, anything
but,
visuals.
Jason, you worked with me. We worked together on movies and stuff. When has there ever been a time when we couldn't finish something way more than we ever wanted to? Like, we're fast, man. We're fast. You're fast. You're fast too. I know that.
Oh, bromance. You guys are broing out right now. Bromance. Yeah, we haven't gotten to a spot where we show like a fully detailed environment thing, but the way that I'm approaching it is really just comic book style. Because like the first stuff that I did was like I was painting a lot of stuff and I was doing a lot of detail, and I did some more research on some of the comic books that I like. I mean, there are some comics that are out there that are crazy detailed and they're recognized for that detail, but there's other comics that are just simple, and they just get to the story. And so I'm going for more style for the sake of speed, and also for the sake of it's really going to support the story if we keep it kind of have a look to it. I want people to kind of look at our comic and feel like, okay, they can see it. Like when they see an image right away, they know it's from this book. And obviously we're marrying a lot of other styles that have already existed, specifically from a lot of the Frank Miller stuff. But I'm also taking stuff from Magnolia, like the way that I'm lighting this. I'm also taking stuff from Jock, the artist. His textural stuff and monochromatic, but there's like color there, color gradations and stuff like that. I'm taking a lot of stuff from those artists because it's cool, man. I like their stuff and I like the way it looks, and I want my stuff to kind of be a marriage between the two, or between the few that I like. So yeah, Mike, what more about it?
Another question here says, did you guys make some color script for the entire comic?
Yeah, that was the thing that I wish I would have done in the beginning. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of went for it, and that's why I was struggling a bit. A day ago, yesterday, I think it was. I was just like, man, this is rough. And then I was like, and so I did like a little bit of like studies here and there, and then that's when I got to where I'm at now. And I think the way that I'm going about the coloring it too, since we're not like setting anything into stone just yet, today we probably will. I'm using Photoshop techniques to be able to change the colors really easily, really fast. Like we ran into an issue yesterday, and I was like, let me try this color. And it's really just pressing a button, and it worked. And then we're like, yep, that looks better. That looks better. Dropping glass. Yeah. I'm going to be looking for some glass shattering reference. Could you find me some too, Kaelin, if you can? Like something like this. Let me show you. Actually, I might have already just found it all. And this is kind of like how Kaelin and I work sometimes. We'll just like be on the phone with each other, go hang out, and we'll just be talking. And then I'll just be like, hey, look for something. And then he'll look and I'll look, and then we'll put our minds together, and then we'll work. So that's another thing I think we could talk about, like working remotely. Aside from the technical difficulties that you guys are experiencing, where you guys can't hear or see Kaelin. And for anyone who's watching the edited version, if you're wondering why Kaelin just disappeared all of a sudden and why he's weirder sounding, it's because I took that part out.
Yeah.
But aside from that,
basically say and do whatever I want because
I'll just edit you out, Kaelin. I'm just gonna do like a robot voice. I'm just gonna do one of those things where I type in like what you were saying.
Just make a voice that agrees with everything you say.
Yeah, like Google Hangout works fine, and we usually use it for a lot of stuff.
Kind of off topic, but this one
That's fine.
is any tips for finding work freelance in illustration or concept art?
Oh yeah, I talk about this a lot in a lot of
Sleep
different.
your way to the top.
Yep, sleep your way
to the top.
Just have tons and tons of sex with strangers that have nothing to do with your field. Just do it, and then eventually one of them.
It'll get easier, I promise.
Lots of sex.
And then one of them will eventually be like, "You want to work in show business, right?" And then you just go. Yes. No, seriously though, what I recommend usually is going to conventions and talking to people a lot like that have the opportunity to give you a job. Talk to people that are actively seeking, new employees. And the best way to do that is to go to conventions, to go to workshops, to take classes. There's all kinds of solutions. Just meet people. Sending out emails and stuff like that. That kind of stuff works, but not as well as meeting in person. And also talking, like taking your work and putting it online is a great way of doing it. But when you do that, you need to put it places where people are going to find it. And you might have to have alternative solutions to places you're going to put your work. Like Kayla and I and John, we're all working on that right now with like the solid state stuff. We're trying to promote it. We're trying to find ways, and we're trying to build an audience for it. We want to build a fan base. So when we start doing some more of the film stuff for this, we can have that to kind of help, us support us in this journey, in this adventure. But the thing that I think we talked about before, about networking our own stuff, is like we're trying to network to people that are specifically care about comic books and the making of, and also if you like good art, you'll have an interest in it too, and if you like good storytelling, you'll have an interest in it too. Not to say that our art is going to be great, and not to say that our storytelling will be great. We're going to be working on that as we go, but we're trying to say that this is what it's like. This is what it feels like to watch someone make something, and you guys will be here along the way, watching us do every single step. And the reason why I'm doing it this way too, because I did my Heaven's Hell through Kickstarter, and there's something weird about getting a lot of money like right off the bat that makes you like work less. It's weird. It happened, and I was just like, what do I do? And I think it's because of lack of clarity, because I didn't know what to do with all this money, and I was like, what do I do, and how do I make this good? And all of a sudden I was adding too much pressure and too much anxiety on myself. And then so that's why I was trying to say, let's avoid that, because let's do it a little bit more earnestly. Let's like work on it, and as we're developing it and making it, we should do it as we goes and get paid what it deserves, versus promoting and doing this weird kind of advertisement type stuff of something that we don't actually have yet. That's weird. And I've learned a lot of lessons through the whole Kickstarter stuff. Like right now I'm going through the process of getting the book printed, and everything that I sent them was wrong. I sent them all the images and everything, and they're like, oh, that's great, dude, but it's none of this stuff we can use. You need to like go back and reformat a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, and it's like, if I would have known all this stuff before, I would have probably done it differently. But it's okay, you live, you learn, you make mistakes so you can become better. And so that's why I think this process is going to work out. And to really get back to your answer about freelancing, is what I'm trying to say is that you just network, just find ways to get your stuff out there, and there's tons of ways. I have really little sympathy, especially if you have internet, if you have access to talking to people. If you're talking to me right now, you've just networked, right? If you follow me on Facebook, you're networked with me, especially with me, because I respond to everyone and almost anybody and everybody that actually sends me a personal message on my Facebook. I check my Facebook often just so I can answer questions and talk to people. So anyway, just network. There's tons of ways to do it. There's people overseas who have no other way of reaching out to artists like me other than through the internet, and they can, because the internet's powerful and it's a beautiful thing. That's why this thing that we're doing, Kaelin and I are doing with the comic book, can actually probably be a thing, like the other artists and other people can actually do. And we're kind of like, we're paving the way to see if this is a viable business practice. And right now, we feel like it is. We feel like it's a lot of fun. We're not making a living off of it yet, but we're making enough money to consider it as something that we can continuously do, and we find different ways to do it. And I think that's important for people to know, is that there might be an alternative out there than doing freelance and getting a job for a studio. You might be able to just work for yourself. And we're trying to make that a staple. We're trying to make that a thing, because the internet has matured. People trust the internet. People trust buying things off of the internet. And we have places like Google and Amazon and eBay to thank for that kind of stuff. We really do.
Well, I think it's really important, because I started in previs, and previs is the type of work that doesn't really it's not appealing to people who don't know what it is. So it's not exactly the type of work where you're like, hey, check out this cool thing I made, because most people have never seen previs, so they'll just be like, what, you mean like shitty animation? Like what the hell is this? So for when I make it, and I know a previs artist usually does a lot of stuff all by themselves, and they do it really quickly. So if I look at another previs artist's work, I can be like, oh, this is really good, or
Kaelin? That's what happens for me messing up with stuff. Kaelin? Okay. Kaelin. Can you do me a favor, John? And, actually, I can do it.
Do you think it'd be better to put your phone up against the mic or something? And I could talk to it, you know?
Still here, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? Kaelin? Alright. I'm not going to mess with the settings. I'm just going to let it be like this and we'll figure it out next time. I am done messing with those settings. I was trying to reduce the bass like John mentioned before. I blame John for this.
What?
Hello, can you hear me, Kaelin?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I was trying to reduce the bass because John. I don't blame John.
Whatever.
You shouldn't have recommended anything.
Anyways, there's another question for
Nope.
you guys.
John, let's stick on this topic, John. Why did you recommend such a great thing?
Sorry. What do you guys think about unions for visual effects or art folk in the different industries?
I think it's a good idea. Wait, can you hear me now? Because I don't even know if you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Still
Yeah, I
sound
think it's a
bad.
really, really good idea. I work mostly in visual effects, and I think the problem is just, it's a type of work where you really want to impress everybody, and you want to be like a go-to person. At the same time, you could so easily be asked to work 16-hour days and not be compensated for it, and that's time away from your family. It's time away from pursuing the things that you want to do, and unions help to protect against that type of abuse. It's abuse, it really sucks that visual effects feels like they're an industry that can get away with making people work crazy hours and not paying them for it. Construction workers don't stand for that kind of crap. Why should visual effects artists stand for that? But that kind of goes back to what AJ talks about a lot, and it's valuing yourself as an artist and valuing the work that you do. If you do that, you're a lot less likely to let a company take advantage of you and make you work crazy hours. I know it's hard when you're first starting out to be I'm not going to work those kind of crazy hours. Get me out of here. But it helps also if you don't make crazy promises either. If a producer comes up to you and they're we really need this shot by the end of day. Can we get this shot by the end of day? And you can say look, I'll do what I can, but I'm telling you, it doesn't look promising this type of shot. And explain. I've found that if you really talk to a producer about the technical reasons why you can't finish a shot that day, it'll just go over there. It'll just go straight over their head. And they'll be so confused that they'll just give you more time.
Alright.
So, you can try that.
Or just do what I do and pull down their pants and then push them so that they fall on their own bodies. And then as they're falling, you pull down your pants and you pee on them as they're falling. And then you walk out of the room with your pants down. That's usually what I do.
The problem is having enough pee ready at a moment's notice.
I never pee just so I can do that. I never.
Yeah, you're just always sitting at your desk.
Yeah, I just luckily I'm not doing that right now, so I can pee.
Always hold your pee.
Yeah, but if you guys want to be serious about peeing on your producers, you gotta hold on that pee. You gotta save it. Okay, so that's some real life advice right there, guys. So that's advice you can take with you to the grave.
Most people I've worked for are really reasonable. So, if they're we need this done today, you just be well, let me tell you why you can't have it today. And there's very good. I mean, most people are reasonable will be like, okay, all right, I'm gonna have to get a hold of the client and tell them that we'll have it to him tomorrow. But I mean, honestly, like, it's like it's not because your boss wants it today. It's because your boss's client wants it today, or something like that, you know. And if you just try to sympathize with your producer and be like, look, like I know this is gonna screw things up, but like this is the deal, this is the situation. Like, give your producer ammo to tell the client so that you guys can have more time on something. Like, and there's also just be faster. I don't know. Like, work faster.
Stop being a
try not to be so fast. Try to do a good job. Work fast.
Do it.
Do it.
Got gum on my seat. Gum. Alright. Any other questions, Jim?
No.
No. Everyone's content. Everyone is happy and also upset because of the stream. These types of things, you know, you just can't plan for it, man. Dude, like, I gotta tell you guys, like, I'm doing my mentorship right now. And it's been going great, actually. Everyone loves it. Everyone's having a good time. I'm enjoying it as well. And, but even then, like, it's just, like, just little stuff that you don't even think about. Because, you know, it's the first time doing my live stream. It's the first time I've done this kind of online tutorial stuff. And I'm learning as I go, and I'm adding more value to it as I go. But, you know, it's kind of, you know...
Your mic's really low, too.
Well, I just turned down the mic so that way his audio...
Yeah, go ahead and turn yours.
But I can just do that, and bam. It should be solid. And so, like, you know, this type of stuff, you know, the only way to figure it out is to do it, right? It's like back to what we were saying in the very, very beginning with, like, you know, the hardest part is just getting started. Like, there's only so much you could do to try to prevent, like, we tested it before we started the stream, we tested all this stuff, and there's so many things you could prevent before you actually do it. It's the same thing that I talked about with, like, you know, like my art book. It's the same thing like with this. Like, I knew what I wanted to do with the comic book, but now that I'm making it, like, I'm seeing problems that I like did not foresee, and I had to make a solution quick because we have a deadline. You know, there's things that you cannot avoid and you can't figure out until you start doing it, and that's when you start learning some hard lessons. And luckily for us, none of them have been overly distracting or destructive. And we've learned a lot of hard lessons with our other stuff, because Kaelin and I have worked on other stuff behind curtains, on specifically the treatments for, like, the carbon line, and we have other treatments. We actually have a treatment written for Heaven's Hell as well, and then we have a bunch of other stories that we've written treatments for, and we're learning, like, how to tell cool stories, that when we pitch it to people, like, they're like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. But we've learned that from pitching it to people and them saying that it's really cool, or the opposite, saying that's stupid, or that's not so cool. And we get people's reactions, and we learn from those reactions, and then we move forward. Wait, what happens in this shot? Oh, yeah, that's right. So, what's great about this is that you guys can watch us do it, right? And watch us make mistakes. And
watch us make all our mistakes.
And then
and
you guys go forward.
Too, yeah.
You guys can be able to do it more effectively. So I remember when they did their stream, whatever, this is what they did wrong. I mean, nobody remembers. Do you guys remember that YouTube had a rating system? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Had like 5 stars. You can rank between 1 or 5 stars. You remember that?
Long
I
time ago.
remember that.
Yeah, but people forget because they've updated it. They increased it. They made it better, right? Because, you know, when they first launched, it was just kind of like an uploading. It was chaotic. It was out of control, but they were making money, and people loved it still. And I was watching this TED Talk about how, you know, people like Facebook and all that stuff, when they first started out, it was really rugged, man. You know, like, people complain what it is like now today, but it actually is so much better. And what people were complaining about, they weren't complaining about Facebook being better. They were complaining about the change, because they were making it better, but people got used to bad design, right? And they have to adapt to better design, but there's still a level of adaptation, right? And that's something that I think, you know, you can't avoid that unless you start doing something, right? You have to have a product. You have to try to do something to learn what you did wrong or what you can do better, right? Because maybe you didn't do anything wrong, and now you do a lot of good stuff, but you know it could be better, and it can be better, and you will make it better, right? Um, and that's something that Kaelin and I are really good at. We're really observant our abilities and our lack of abilities, and so we try to pay attention to that whenever it happens, and we just say, okay, we're going to learn something. Like we've never made a 3D short, but who's to say why can't we? What's stopping us from doing that? There really is nothing stopping us, you know, because even if it takes us a long time, it's just that's the only thing. It's just going to take a long time. That's the reason why I don't want to make a 3D short. That's no reason. If we want to make one, we should make it, right? Because it's hard. Everything's hard, you know. Like those are never good reasons to not do something. Like a good reason is I don't want to do it. That's a good reason. If you don't want to do something, like if someone says eat this cheesecake and you don't want to eat a cheesecake, don't eat the cheesecake, right? But if someone tells you, you know, like
I can't imagine a reality where that's the case, though. I'll always go for a cheesecake.
well, if someone says like comes up to you and says
an example nonetheless.
Yeah, if someone comes up to you and says like eat a rat dick, like it gives you lots of protein.
Now we're talking.
you might be like what? But like it's really good for you. There's a level of adaptation there, right? And you know, you gotta, if you don't want to do something, you don't want to do it. That's fine. I used to be really hard on people. I was like, why aren't you pushing yourself? Why aren't you doing this? And I started realizing that they're very content with their life. And they're very happy. And I'm like, wait a minute, what am I trying to tell them to do when they're already kind of happy? Like, just because that's my perspective on things doesn't mean that needs to be yours. So if you've ever said to yourself, like, I want to make something, I want to do something, I want to be somebody, then what's stopping you? And I usually ask people is like, you know, nobody's stopping you from doing the things that you want to do, you know, and even if you had that excuse, like let's say someone has a gun to your head and says, if you follow your dreams, I'm going to kill you. Or they have your gun to your family and it's like, if you chase your damn dreams, I'm going to murder your family. Then I would ask you, how much do you love your family? You know? Because you have to gauge it that way, right? You got to gauge like what's important to you. But luckily for us, that's usually not the case. People usually take hostages for other circumstances, right? And so, like I'm trying to get at, like, there's no reason for you guys not to be ambitious, you know, other than yourself. The reasons you have, like, if any excuse you have has nothing to do with like your ability to do it, then you need to really consider what that excuse really is saying about what you're trying to do.
So definitely eat the cheesecake.
So definitely eat the cheesecake if you want to. That's what I'm getting at.
If you want to.
If you want to eat cheesecake, eat the cheesecake.
All right, question for you, AJ.
Nope.
Alrighty.
Nope. I've answered enough. I'm just kidding. What's the question?
How do you study values and really get to understand how light works?
That's a pretty good one. Light is pretty simple, to be honest. I think everybody understands how light works, but just nobody remembers when they get to the painting. They always think about it like when they get started with their painting, they're like, oh, everything is lit, you know, and that's true. It's in some cases. In most cases, to be honest, but the reality is like light is pretty straightforward. It does three things, you know. It either absorbs, it either reflects, or it refracts. Absorbing as in it goes right into a material and it stays in that material, and we don't see any color bouncing back, right? That's very matte colors. Like anything that is fully absorbent will basically go matte black. And then reflection is like a mirror, like something, or really shiny metals or really hard surface metals. It's where light hits the surface and bounces right back up. And then a mirror is 100% good example for that. And then refraction is when light goes through the object. It goes right through. And you all knew this. Everybody knew this. And a window would be a good example of that. And what I do is I look at things and materials and see how much of that percentage is happening when I look at the material, and that's how I understand lighting a little bit. But when it comes to like the straight up lighting things in value, I keep it pretty simple. Light, mid, dark. It's something that painters in the Renaissance have discovered and mastered, and they spent years, centuries, like just like mastering this technique, and it's a good technique. It's something that we today can utilize. So I would say keep it simple. Turn one light on at a time. Just turn on one light at a time. Don't turn on 17,000 lights and then be like, why is my lighting so bad? It's because you're turning on too many lights and you don't know which light you're looking at because you're putting too many lights everywhere. And yes, I think I have a video tutorial more descriptive about that. I'm not trying to plug my own stuff, but if you go to my website, robotpencil.net, you should be able to find like the dynamic lighting. And I go into more detail about specifically what you're saying. You might have watched it already. If you're following me, you should already know. And then just rewatch it and see what I mean. And if I still don't answer your question, please send me a message. Maybe I can send you a more thorough answer if I can. But I don't know. Let's see.
All right, next question. What do you think is the best place for a junior visual effects artist to find a job? I visited MPC, DNEG, and Framestore London, and it seems Canada is the best place, but not easy to go as European.
Kaelin might be able to answer that one better. He's in that world.
Yeah, LA, man. I don't know. Like, seriously, like, visual effects is such a weird thing, and I don't do 100% visual effects. I do previs, and there's still a lot of previs that's done in Los Angeles because this is where all the directors and the writers and stuff are, and previs needs to be next to those people. I mean, that being said, I did just get back from Louisiana where I had to do a job there, but I'd say LA. I mean, there's so much still going on in LA. There's a lot of people that have been laid off, and times are bad for a lot of visual effects artists, but there's still a lot going on. There's still a lot of work to be had. I've, in the last 4 years that I've been doing this, I've never had to take a job out of Los Angeles. I only did that one in Louisiana because it was a really good opportunity, and I really wanted to work on the movie. It was Fantastic Four. So, and that was to this day, it's the biggest thing I've ever done. So I was like, oh, I'm totally going to do that. But I've never needed to leave LA. So, and the cool thing about LA is that there's a lot of indie people doing stuff. So you could get a start as an indie artist. I think too many people feel like, I want to be a visual effects artist, so I'm going to work on Life of Pi or something. I'm going to work on Transformers right out the gate. And that's, I mean, I don't know why you would want that to be your goal, because it's there's two things. So Transformers is going to have probably the best visual effects out of any movie, this year, probably. But at the same time, there's going to be so many effects artists working on it that if you're one of the artists and you're a junior, you're just going to be doing roto all day, or you're just going to be doing really simple tracking, or really a small piece of the pipeline where you're not really going to learn anything. So you only really want to work on a big movie if you're going to be a mid or a senior level artist who's actually going to get to do some really cool stuff. If you're a junior and you already have some skills, I'd say try to get as much work as you can in indie stuff, because there's so many indie people out there making movies, and they don't have the connections with China or or the UK or whatever to send all of their visual effects work abroad. So they have to do it in town. So if you're in LA, try to tap into the indie market and be like, hey, I can do visual effects. I've done visual effects for too many films this year already, and it's why not? Why not just do that? Because it's here, and it's work, it's experience, and then once you have more credits, more experience, more contacts, then you can start to build your way up to those bigger films if that's what you want to do. And of course, everyone wants to do that because it's cool. I wish I had a chance to work on Transformers. That'd be awesome. But you got to start where you can, get the work where you can, and you just make any job you take, just make it cool. Because any job really could be cool. You just gotta put your own kind of personality into it.
Yeah, and speaking of jobs that are cool, one thing that I think is really important to understand too, guys, is that, like Kaelin said, is that sometimes a small job is better than a big job. You'll find that when there's more at stake, people kind of can be a little bit more sketch. And I mean, they'd be a little bit more like really hardcore on you, you know, and their feedback and all that stuff. And that's like, sometimes that's like, I'd rather have work on a project where it's not so big and everyone's a little bit more friendly, everyone's like working together to make something awesome, and it's a little bit more like we're all in this together versus like, we already know what to do, this is how we do it, just do it, you know. And then it was like, ugh. And I got jobs where I was making a lot more money, and I was working on something pretty big, and I just didn't like it because everybody was just weird and just like super like just like the way that they thought that a good movie should be made. Like I just didn't believe it. Like you could tell that they were making decisions based off of money, and I learned a valuable lesson that day. I was like, you know, just because you make tons of money from something doesn't make it fun. And even if you make a lot of money, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be even happy, which is crazy, right? It's like you think like, a lot of people associate money with success, and that's just not true. It just can't be. And that's something that I've learned over the years. Like I've worked at every job that I could imagine people would be really excited for, and everybody complains. There's not a single person.
The complaining is nonsense.
There's not a single person.
It's just a way to like cope with like a difficult work environment, but seriously, it's toxic. The complaints, people just love to complain. It's so tired of it.
Like at Blizzard, I can name number of people that were like, you know, and I'm like thinking like, but this is it. Like, you know, there's a lot of people out there that say, if I can get my foot into the door at Blizzard, I'll be set for life, right? And those same type of people are like also like they don't understand or respect me, you know. And then they make another like kind of outrageous claim like, well, if I get a job here, I'll be set for life. You know, and I had a friend who left Blizzard to join another company, and he was there for a few months, and he was excited. He's like, I'm going to do it because Blizzard, you know, they did this, and I'm just kind of sick of it. And he goes to this new company, and they're paying him more money, and he was just like, I don't like it here. Like, he doesn't really, like, I try to tell people, Blizzard, if you've never worked anywhere, like, a lot of my friends that worked at Blizzard, like, they didn't work anywhere else, right? And I said, this is freaking a gold mine. This place is great. Everyone's super nice to you. The benefits are great. You're complaining for no reason. And they're like, whatever. And then, like, so my friend is a great example of this. He went to another studio, and he got a glimpse of, like, how other people, like, nobody, it's not better, you know? There's very few studios that really get it. And then he went to another studio, and I think he's happy there. Well, he better be happy, because he's just jumping from job to job. Where for me, like, I even made peace with myself. Like, I was going to just pretty much stay at Blizzard for the rest of my life, because I loved it. But then, like, I had this opportunity with the mentorship stuff, and that also freed up my time to work on this comic book stuff, and have more time to finish my book and all this stuff. Like, I had to take the opportunity. I was like, I don't know how many times these things will happen, and so I just jumped at the thing. But like Kaelin was saying, there's different types of jobs. Some jobs are great. Some jobs are, you know, not so great. You just gotta have to keep your eye open for that type of stuff as it comes along. You just gotta take the opportunity, but also don't lose value of who you are. Just because you get a job at a major company, whatever, doesn't mean it's a good company. Just keep that in mind. But also, don't be a complainer. Like, have real legitimate complaints and real legitimate like concerns about studios. Otherwise, you're just gonna be a complainer. And there's no reason to be complaining. You put yourself in that situation. People are paying you to work, and you're complaining about that. It's like if you're complaining about like, it's like you don't see like if someone's coming to me and someone's like, you need to draw this monster, and I was like, okay, I draw a monster, and it's not the monster we're looking for. I don't get mad. I just say, okay, what's the kind of monster you're looking for? And then they tell me, and I do it because they're paying me money to do. That's my job, right? If I don't complain about content creation because it's not my place, that's not where my position is. If they ask me, I'll let them know. And luckily, some studios do that. Some studios actually care. But as for content creation, that's why I've always, even from the beginning, before all this stuff, I've always made time for my personal work, because that's a place where no one can really be a critic other than myself. And this is what I think is good. And luckily for me, a lot of people think so too, you know? And that's the place to voice your complaints, to see, do you really know what you're talking about? Because, Kaelin and I are really concerned about like our storytelling. And the only way to do this, only way to find out if we're good storytellers or not, or good comic book writers, or whatever it is to make a comic book. Put it out there and see what people think. That's the only way. We can speculate about what we think is good story. We can speculate what makes a good comic. We can do all that all day. But until we have a product, until we have put it out there, until we have someone actually look at it and say, then we can be like, okay, why did they say, Because then we can move forward. And, like, we're allowed to suck because this is our first chance, and then we're allowed, and then from there, luckily for us, we don't like to suck. We want to get better, and we'll learn from it. That's the only way to learn. I don't forgive people like Shyamalan, because he's made how many movies now? Like 8 movies, and they're not getting any better. So he's got some issues, man. Like I could forgive the first few bad ones because you're allowed to make mistakes.
I gave him so much wiggle room for so long.
Yeah, but now
Avatar was the last.
Yeah, the Avatar was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Done.
Like
it's like that's it. Sorry, no more. No more slack.
You got to really buckle down and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I give people a lot of breathing room before I really get critical about it. Because I get it. Because I've made mistakes and I understand. Like I've been on the other side of the boat and I know what it's like. Like there used to be a time where I used to complain about stuff too, and then when I started working for people, I was like, wait a minute, holy crap. Like this whole Ninja Turtles fiasco, like a lot of people are really upset about like the new Ninja Turtles looks and whatever. Like I have tons of friends who've worked on that movie, and they're great artists. It's funny, actually, whenever those artists post their work on Facebook or on their websites, everyone's like, yeah, these are amazing sculpts and amazing designs. But when they see it in like the trailer, they're like, oh, Michael Bay. It's like, what kind of argument is that? And it's something that if someone who doesn't work in the industry, you should really embrace what I'm trying to say about that. Like you should embrace that. You should be a little bit more objective, a little bit more like have like real critiques about the industry. All right, I'm gonna show you guys some stuff that I do with the effects, so that way you guys can get some taste.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And before you get into that next segment, I'm gonna take off because I got some other responsibilities today. But
the stream is gonna be over anyways.
What's that?
Yeah, we're gonna end the stream anyways. We've already went over to the next half an hour to make up for that. We'll
snafu at the beginning. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Cool, and we'll see you next time, huh? Thanks for supporting Solid State, and if you're not a supporter but you're here, thanks for showing some kind of interest at all, and I hope you like the comic when it comes out.
All right, Kaelin.
All right.
See you again.
Talk to you later, dude.
Later.
Have you ever worked in animation, like TV flash animation, AJ?
I've never worked on animation professionally, but I did it. I've never done like TV animation, but I worked on animation when one of my first studios. It was a funny story because my boss like fired all of our 3D artists, and he was like, "All right, guys, you guys are going to be the 3D artists now." And it was sucky business because we weren't 3D artists, and he's like, "Well, okay, well then we'll do everything 2D." And so I learned 2D animation because of that. So it was a cool thing, but a bad thing at the same time. Threshold, what the heck is that thing? But like I learned about a lot of flash animation because of it. So, but I am not per se a a 2D animator though. But I used to do a lot of it. If that's what you're wondering about. Any other questions?
No, that's pretty much it.
Alright guys, so I'm going to do this last thing. This is kind of where a lot of this stuff is still very grunge, and I'm going to go back and do kind of a detail pass, but I try to get it all into place. And see, this is pretty simple because this is supposed to be the pool area, and our character is like flies into the pool, and so the way that I was going to do it is something like this, and then use, like, just like I said, only effects and robotic parts, and just do something like just some craziness. And you'll be able to see the final frame of this for those who supported the book. And then you'll be able to see kind of the process in which I make all this stuff a little bit more accurately. But essentially what I do is what you're watching me do right now. And then I just kind of just use texture brushes and this kind of gradient map thing and then add all that kind of crazy stuff. But I want to make sure it's visible and readable too, so it's like I try to make sure to do a lot of stuff. But with that being said, thank you guys for joining the stream, and thank you guys for asking such great questions, and thank you guys for being patient with our technical difficulties earlier. Like I said, this is like the first week or so I've been doing a lot of this internet stuff. I've just moved into my new office. We're still working on technical difficulties on other things. So it's just it's this ongoing battle until we figure it all out, iron everything out, and get everything awesome and flawless. But I appreciate the patience.
One last question.
Nope.
Who would win in an arm wrestle? Me or you?
Probably John.
I probably would.
He's got really strong forearms. It's a forearm game. And he's a cheater.
I don't cheat.
He spits in your face.
Throw sand in your face.
Okay. But anyways, thanks guys. And I'll see you next stream.
See you guys.